If you told me a few years ago that the best thing to ever happen to me would start with my beat-up truck rattling down Route 47, $17 to my name, and the kind of bad luck that makes you wonder if you're the punchline in someone else's joke, yeah, I'd have laughed right in your face. But that's exactly how it began, and let me tell you, it wasn't pretty. I was late, real late, for Henderson's Buick parts, and my truck sounded like it was begging for mercy. Then, just as I was thinking it couldn't get any worse, those flashing red and blues popped up in my mirror. You know that feeling? Like the universe just wants to mess with you for sport. You'd think a story like ours would start to settle down once the wedding was over, right? Truth is, if you ever met Jessica, you'd know settling isn't in her vocabulary. Life with her was like tuning an engine that was always 2 turns away from perfect, sometimes smooth, sometimes unpredictable, but always alive. I remember the first winter after we got married, how the wind would rattle our tiny house on Sycamore Lane, how the pipes groaned and we'd huddle up under 3 blankets, laughing at how grown-up we felt just for paying the heating bill on time. There was a peace in that, simple and honest, the kind you only find when you finally stop looking over your shoulder. Business at the shop picked up, too. Word got around that Martinez Auto Repair was the kind of place you brought your car if you wanted it fixed right, and maybe left with a little less dignity after being roasted by Danny and the guys. Jessica would swing by on her breaks, uniform still sharp, hair pulled back, bringing me leftover donuts from the station or sometimes just a smile that made the whole day lighter. She never hovered, but she noticed everything. The way my hands shook the day I couldn't cover rent, or the quiet pride when we finally broke even that spring. One Tuesday, right after lunch rush, this older guy showed up, a stranger, maybe late 60s, driving a battered red pickup with plates from out of state. There was something off about him. The kind of nervous energy that comes from running from something, not toward it. He asked if I could look at his engine, said he'd pay cash, no questions. Normally, I wouldn't think twice. But there was something in his eyes that reminded me of myself, back when $17 was all I had to my name. Against my better judgment, I told him to bring it around back. While I was checking out the truck, Jess showed up. She nodded to the old man, sharp eyes reading him like a bad novel, then pulled me aside. "You know who that is?" she whispered. I shook my head. "That's Eddie Price. He's wanted for a string of robberies out in Colorado. His face is on every bulletin board at the station." My stomach dropped. Just my luck to finally get my shop going and end up harboring a fugitive. "Don't panic," Jess said, her voice low and steady. "Let me handle it." The next half hour was a blur. Her making a call, me trying to keep Eddie calm, pretending nothing was up while every nerve in my body screamed that everything was. Before I knew it, 2 patrol cars pulled in, lights off, quiet as shadows. Jess walked Eddie out, gentle but firm, hand on his shoulder, talking him down the whole way. He didn't resist. I stood there, hands covered in grease, realizing she'd managed to do what I never could, face trouble head-on and handle it with grace. Afterward, I felt sick to my stomach. Not because I'd helped the wrong guy, but because for the first time, my world and Jessica's had really collided. Her job wasn't just stories over dinner. It was real, messy, dangerous. That night, we sat on our back porch, the quiet between us thicker than usual. "You did the right thing," she said finally. "You trusted your gut. Most people would have turned him away. You gave him a little dignity before it all came crashing down." She leaned into me, and for the first time, I realized loving her meant learning to live with that tension, the good and the hard, the certainty and the unknown. Life went on, as it does. Jess got promoted to detective, which meant longer hours and more nights when I'd come home to an empty house and cold leftovers. But it also meant she was finally being recognized for the work everyone knew she was already doing. We celebrated with takeout and a bottle of wine, dancing in our cramped living room, laughing at how grown-up we still didn't feel. Twist is, just when you think you've figured out the rules, life changes the game. Around the time business at the shop hit a rough patch, too many bills, not enough customers, I got a call from Sarah. She was crying, something about mom in the hospital, something about time running out. Jess dropped everything, rushed us to the next town over, and suddenly I was standing beside her in a sterile hospital room, holding her hand while her mother slept, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. In those long, sleepless nights, I saw a new side of Jessica, fragile, raw, angry at the world for threatening the people she loved. For once, she was the one needing support, and I tried to be her rock the way she'd always been mine. Sarah and I took turns running for coffee, distracting each other with bad jokes, while Jess sat with her mother, stubborn and silent, refusing to leave even when the nurses begged her to rest. When her mom finally woke up, eyes clear and hands squeezing Jessica's, it felt like a miracle pulled out of the jaws of something much darker. After that, Jess seemed to soften around the edges, still tough, still unflinching, but more willing to let people in. Life doesn't always hand you what you want when you want it. Some nights, Jess would cry quietly into my shoulder, and I'd just hold her, wishing I could fix something that wasn't broken but just out of reach. Still, we built a life around hope, a garden out back, movie nights with Sarah, Sundays spent fixing up the house, arguing over paint colors and furniture we couldn't really afford. One summer afternoon, out of the blue, we got a call. Mrs. Patterson, one of my oldest customers, was in trouble. Her car had broken down on the side of the highway, and she was scared. Jess was off duty, but she insisted we go together. We found Mrs. Patterson stranded in the heat, tears in her eyes, car dead as a doornail. I got her engine running. Jess comforted her, and as we drove her home, Mrs. Patterson looked at us and said, "You two are a good team. You remind me of my late husband and me. He fixed the cars, I fixed the rest." I didn't know it then, but that little moment would stick with me for months. Sometimes. Or was there a plan all along? Did one wrong turn set everything right? Or is it just that, when you meet the right person, you do whatever it takes to hold on? You tell me, are we the sum of our choices, or just passengers along for the ride? Would you have stopped for that old man? Would you have called back, knowing it might be nothing or everything? The best journeys start with a risk, and end with a home you never saw coming. I pulled over, cursing my luck. Doing the math in my head, $17 doesn't even buy you a decent sandwich these days, much less a speeding ticket. Then out walks this officer, not at all what I expected, tall, athletic, dark hair pulled tight, and the kind of confidence that tells you she's not here to play around. Officer Smith, her badge said, though I didn't catch that until she was already asking for my license. Her voice steady but not unkind. Yeah, I admitted it, I was speeding. And when she asked why, I tried the old, "my boss will kill me if I'm late" routine, but she shut that down quick. She wasn't mean about it, more like slightly amused, almost like she'd heard every excuse in the book and was collecting favorites. You think that's a good reason to speed through a neighborhood? Had chalked it up to women's intuition. That got her eyebrow raised and me trying not to laugh. I told her straight up, that's not how brakes work, or intuition, for that matter. Just promise you'll slow down. Kids play here. Your boss's schedule isn't worth risking a life. And what do you say to that? I promised. She handed me her card, her personal number written on the back. Call me when you can look at my car. And for the record, I drive a Civic that's survived more than a few battles. You ever get handed a plot twist and not know what to do with it? That was me, staring at that card like it was either a ticket to the next chapter of my life or the weirdest prank ever. As soon as she left, my phone buzzed, my cousin Danny asking where the hell I was. I looked at that business card, then my phone, then back at the card. Call me Jess, it said, bold and neat. Said I was either the luckiest guy alive or about to star in my own episode of Cops. For 3 days, that card sat in my wallet, burning a hole through my common sense. Danny kept bugging me. Just call her, man. What's the worst that could happen? She arrests you? Or you end up dating a cop who could bench press your truck. She didn't have to give you her number. That's not outreach, genius, that's interest. One night, nerves shot, I finally dialed her number. Nearly chickened out twice. When she picked up, her voice was warm, familiar. We set up a time to look at her car, maybe grab coffee after, if things didn't get weird. You ever feel like you're about to mess up something good just by opening your mouth? That was me, tripping over my words, but she just laughed it off and set the time. Saturday, 10 a.m. Casual, but with a presence that made everyone in the place notice. We started with her Civic, brake pads, easy fix, but ended up talking for hours. She told me about her family. Her crazy little sister Sarah, who couldn't pick a major to save her life, and why she became a cop. I told her about my grandpa, how he taught me to fix things, and my pipe dream of opening my own shop. She said something that stuck with me. I like that cars are honest. No gray areas. I told her, yeah, unlike police work. She smiled. Most things in life are gray, Tom, but cars just work or they don't. That's why I respect what you do. Before I knew it, coffee turned into plans for another date, and as she left, she kissed my cheek. Quick, soft, but definitely intentional. I thought you'd never ask, she said, and I couldn't wipe the grin off my face all day. We kept seeing each other. Her confidence matched with my stubbornness in the garage. She started showing up at family dinners, my mom making enough enchiladas for an army, and Danny teasing me every chance he got. Jessica had this way of believing in me, pushing me to finally take the leap and open Martinez Auto Repair. She even co-signed my loan when the bank wouldn't give me the time of day. Meeting her sister Sarah was an experience. Sarah was like Jess on Fast Forward, witty, sharp, a little too honest. And their jokes, mostly at my expense, became part of the routine. 6 months later, up at Lake Morrison, Jess skipping rocks and me pacing like a caged animal. I finally pulled out the ring I'd been carrying for weeks. She said yes before I could even finish the question. We got married in her parents' backyard, flowers everywhere. Sarah cracking jokes about my famous hands during her speech, and somehow the world felt bigger and smaller all at once. 2 years on, we're sitting on our porch, watching the sun go down. She squeezes my hand, that smile that still floors me, and I can't help thinking about how easy it would have been to miss each other. One different choice, 1 minute later. And none of this would have happened. But she saw something worth her time in a broke kid with a dying truck, and that was enough to build everything I never thought I'd have. A shop, a family, a future. You know what I mean? Sometimes, the wildest turns on your path are the ones that bring you home. So, yeah, let me ask you, was it chance, fate, or just dumb luck?